You might be sent to a CE just for your vision issues, and that's what we're going to deal with in this video, consultative exams that deal with your vision. Now, most times if you have really good evidence from your ophthalmologist or optometrist, you're likely not going to need to get a CE done. As I always say, evidence is king. And that evidence may be enough for the examiner to make a call on whether your vision either meets or equals a listing or is so severe to where it will keep you from working. But what if the examiner doesn't get good evidence from your ophthalmologist or optometrist, or they don't get any evidence at all? You go into a vision CE. Now, I want to talk about this because I think it's important to understand that vision CEs are pretty reliable. There's not going to be like a typical internal medicine CE or general medicine where they run you in and out like cattle at a dairy farm and just get what they need to get, and in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you're out of there. They're going to take time at this vision CE to figure out what exactly is going on with your vision. Now, the typical vision CE has a lot of parts to it, but it really boils down to looking at two different issues related to your vision. And those two issues are visual acuity and visual fields. But the heart of the exam is going to be based on what that particular CE doctor sees in their evaluation of your eyes. So they're going to be looking at things like your intraocular pressure. They're going to be checking your pupils. They're going to be looking at what your cornea, your retina, and your lens look like in both eyes. They're also going to be looking at observed behaviors that you demonstrate in the office, such as whether you need to feel around for objects as you're moving around the exam room, if you're looking at your cell phone while you're in the waiting room, or you're reaching out for objects that are handed to you. They're going to be looking at those things because keep in mind, a vision CE is just like any other CE in that respect. Somebody's watching you. Now, like I said, there are two specific areas that they're going to be considering based on the allegation that you have in your claim. So for things like blindness, they're looking mainly at visual acuity, but in some cases, depending on the type of blindness that you have, it may be your visual fields that are the focus. No pun intended. Visual acuity is getting into the idea of how well you can focus or see clearly or sharply, even at a distance. So the one tool that eye doctors use more than anything is the one that you're probably thinking of right now. That's called the Snellen chart. The Snellen chart is that basic chart on the wall with all the letters on it in different degrees of magnification or size. So when a eye doctor is looking at visual acuity, they're trying to figure out how well can you see, how clearly can you see, closely and at a distance. So the Snellen chart is the gold standard for visual acuity. But there are other ways for the doctor to determine what kind of visual acuity you have. There's what's called CF, which stands for counting fingers. So they hold up a finger, or 4 or 5, whatever many they're going to hold up, and they ask the person how many fingers are they holding up, or can they see the fingers. There's also what's called HM, which stands for hand motion. If the examiner waves his or her hand in front of your face and you can't see the hand, that's pretty bad visual acuity. There's also what's called LP or NLP. LP stands for light perception. NLP stands for note light perception. So if they shine a light in your eye, or a torch in your eye, and you can't pick up the light perception, your eye can't perceive light and cannot adjust to that, that's a pretty good sign that your visual acuity is really severe. The key thing about your case as it relates to vision impairments is, for visual acuity, what is the best corrected vision in the better eye? Your worst eye is worse. That's already determined. Now, in the better eye, what is the visual acuity in the better eye? And if the better eye visual acuity is pretty bad, then you're this close to being in SSDI allowance. So it's not about the bad eye, it's about the good eye. And if your good eye is bad, then it's pretty bad. So the focus is not on the bad eye, the focus is on the good eye. Which means if your good eye is bad, then that's really bad physically, but it's good for you. Yeah, it's good for you getting SSDI. The second area of focus in vision claims is visual fields. It's really talking about the field around your eye, your peripheral vision, and being able to see things and pick up on things when you're looking straight ahead. If your fields are restricted to where there's this little hole and there's not much you can see around your periphery, then those are restricted or constricted visual fields. And if your field of vision is that reduced, that means that you could be on your way to an SSDI allowance. At the CE, they'll set up a specific type of vision CE that is going to look at visual fields. The gold standard for visual fields is the Humphrey Visual Fields or the Humphrey Field Analyzer. Now, if you've ever been to the eye doctor and they take you to this machine where you lean into it and you keep one eye open and you see these little flickering things on the thing on the screen, and every time you see a flicker, you click. That's the Humphrey. There's also the Octopus. Never heard about Octopus, but that's the one that also can be used. But back in the day, when there was the Humphrey, there was what was called the Goldman perimetry or the Goldman fields. That was the gold standard back in the day. But the Humphrey now is the gold standard because it's an electronic one that gets a printout and all that good stuff. Now I want to stop right here and cover a topic that usually doesn't get that much attention when it comes to vision, but it's a really important one to cover, and you know the YODAA is going there. And that issue is what's called malingering. Malingering is the idea that you are knowingly and intentionally trying to fool the examiner into thinking that your situation with your eye is worse off than you say it is. Usually when a person's trying to mislead an examiner, there's a purpose behind it. And that purpose has a lot to do with cream. You know cream. Cash rules everything around me. Dollar bills, y'all. Now, some people try to pull this off and malinger on ophthalmic exams. But what they don't know is that these doctors are pros. This ain't their first rodeo. They've seen this stuff over the course of their career. And they have ways of finding out how serious your impairment is. I'm not going to tell you any of this because I don't want to blow their cover. Okay, I'll give you one. There's one test that you cannot fake on a vision exam, and that's what's called PERLA. PERLA stands for pupils are equal, round, and reactive to light and accommodation. When a visual examiner is looking at your eyes, they're going to be doing different things to figure out how your pupils are reacting, how they look on physical exam, and whether your pupils are adjusting to things that you're looking at close to the eye or further away from the eye. That's what's called accommodation. You can't fake PERLA because that is something that is of a physical nature and can be easily examined and evaluated. But let's say that you went and tried to malinger. Well, if that happens, expect one of these by CDI. You want to know what CDI is? Click on that right up there. It'll break it down for you. Visual CEs are really helpful. Maybe one of the more helpful CEs that you could come across in the SSA disability verse. It's not going to be one of those situations where they run you in and out really quickly to get to the next person. It's really going to be a qualitative exam where they're actually going to have some technical and specific details about what they see in their evaluations. Now, you may be wondering what a CE is. Well, hey, you know me, I got you covered. All you gotta do is click on this link up here. It'll take you to a video where I talk about what a CE is. And I'll see you on the other side in the next video.